What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. And from ABC News, school library book bans are seen as targeting LGBTQ content. So there's already some weaseling going on here. Who are the people that see it as targeting LGBTQ content? And they phrase it this way, they word it in this manner so that anybody in passing who's not going to look any further into it, of course, is going to associate these book bans with some sort of bigotry or hate. And it also goes without saying that this only goes in one direction, right? All of this LGBT, BBQ stuff that's being pushed on kids would never be okay if it were just regular heterosexual traditional relationships. That would be considered incredibly creepy, right? If we talk about Drag Queen Story Hour, if you have a chubby old man wearing regular clothes, jeans and a t-shirt who showed up at a library and started reading to kids, it wouldn't be accepted. Or if you had a regular woman dressed up like a stripper and started reading books to kids, it wouldn't be accepted. But for some reason, when you put a man in a dress, it is accepted. And I guess, they like to say it's just like a clown show, which is true. But let's see what the good folks at ABC have to say about the LGBTQ targeted book bans or whatever.
Let's get right to our cover story, taking a closer look at the rise nationwide in book bans.
According to a new report from
the rise nationwide. Okay, why would it be happening all over the place? These people continue to make you try to make you believe that you're in the minority and then say things like it's happening all over the country. That's maybe because people don't want it and you're forcing it. You're foisting it on people, right? We saw the story in California where the parents are upset because the kids were forced to watch a drag performance at assembly, and then the school came out and said, well, that wasn't mandatory. And then we're going to pretend like they were just going to let those kids walk off campus for the assembly. Oh, it's drag queen assembly time. If you don't want to participate, then you can just leave. That never would have happened. But they're pretending like it wasn't mandatory. We didn't force them to do it. Of course, these people are such little weasels. It's absolutely disgusting. And yes, that's why it's happening all over the country, is because people don't want it. We also see surveys where they say, oh, Gen Z and millennials don't want, they think women's rights have gone too far. Now, I realize that women's rights and LGBTQ books in schools are different, but they're not really. They're all from the same agenda, right? Like it's a little bit a different side of the same coin, if you will, or a different angle of the same shape. I don't know, right? So women's rights, LGBTQ stuff, and they all, as we know now that every single one of their talking points undoubtedly will conflict with another one of their talking points if followed to their logical conclusion. And that's why women's rights immediately contradict with LGBTQ rights, or what's the T mostly, right? And Dave Chappelle has a good joke about that. But I digress. That's not what this is about. Moving on.
The nonprofit group PEN America, nearly 140 school districts in 32 states issued more than 2,500 book bans in the last school year. This morning, GMA is talking with parents in one Texas school district where book bans are happening now. Faith Abube has the story.
And they just say, oh, book bans. They want to paint it so dystopian, like they're just trying to ban stuff. It's like, dude, why? Again, if you had a book of a sexual nature that wasn't gay in a school, it would immediately be outed. But because, no pun intended, but because it's gay, then you're the bad person for not wanting your kids to look at it. It's ridiculous.
This morning, as parents were sending their kids back to school, a political storm over hot button topics, including critical race theory and LGBTQ plus issues.
Okay, first of all, look, I know I've dated myself here a number of times now, first with the sneakers and waiting outside a Foot Locker, but now these things this was not an issue. There was no such thing as LGBTQ plus issues when I was in school. It's all brand new. It's all this weird propaganda to corrupt kids. It's absolutely disgusting.
Leading to books being pulled from library shelves.
This is violating my children's constitutional rights.
Oh, now they care about the Constitution. Okay, yeah, this lady, she wants her constitutional right for her kids to be reading weirdo gay porn in school.
New report, the American Library Association says book bans are surging this year, with Texas leading the way.
We are stuck in the middle of what feels like increasingly politicized culture wars.
In North Texas, a recent heated school board meeting where dozens of parents spoke out against a new policy they say could lead to a wide-ranging book ban.
Policies, the ones you...
Oh, now they also want to claim the slippery slope, right? So now they care about constitutional rights, and now they say, well, if you ban this, you're going to start banning other things. And we can watch them do exactly that. But every single time they project everything they're doing across the aisle and say, you're the bad person. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't know who can't see this by now.
Hope to enact are going to do the most damage to the most vulnerable, marginalized kids in our schools.
New guidelines adopted by the Keller ISD School Board requires books to be judged on themes, including drug and alcohol use, sexual content, suicide, and mental illness. Leni Haas, a mother of 4 children in the district, says the policy goes too far.
How do we teach these things without bringing in some sometimes hard, devastating, gritty topics?
You're not supposed to be teaching. Look, I don't have kids. I'm not a parent, so I don't know, but you're not supposed to be teaching sexuality to little kids, right? You can maybe teach biology, which of course they always tell us to follow the science and they throw it out the window when it doesn't go with their agenda. But you teach biology, the birds and the bees, actual reproduction, scientific stuff, to 8th or 9th graders or something. You don't teach little kids about LGBTQ issues. Why do they need that? What purpose does that serve? What do they gain from that? You're just trying to confuse them.
The school board and the superintendent declined to comment, but a spokesperson told ABC News that parents can volunteer on book challenge committees and be part of the decision making.
Your attempt to legislate and ban these stories is harming so many students.
And you could tell these people aren't speaking from the heart at all. They're all reading from cell phones. They wrote down their talking points because they don't want to forget it, because they don't stand for anything. If you actually had a stance to make, you wouldn't have to be reading from your phone. You wouldn't have to be taking notes, right? I can almost guarantee when you see parents on the other side of this issue, they're not staring at a cell phone, reading verbatim from a note they took earlier. No, they're speaking from the heart because they actually have a stance. They actually have principles. These people are brainwashed by the establishment and they think that kids should be reading about LGBTQ stuff when they're in kindergarten.
Like me.
Cameron Munn, a gay student at Keller High School, says the new policy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A gay student. Okay. Yeah. Give me a break. Well, what did you think this guy was gonna? Did you think he was gonna be unbiased about the issue? Right. They did it to him, and now he's trying to do it to the next generation. And did we think for one split second he was gonna say, yeah, maybe kids shouldn't be looking at that stuff? Obviously, he's going with the agenda. He is a product of it.
Policy further isolates the LGBTQ plus community.
It seems like they're trying to tell other kids and other parents what their children should be able to read.
Texas State Representative Matt Krause, a father of 5 who's leading the movement among conservatives in the state, insists this is not about banning books.
Being a father, I want to make sure that there are age-appropriate materials in our schools.
Tina Deskovich and Tiffany Justice founded Moms for Liberty, a grassroots nonprofit with chapters in 40 states across the country.
When you're talking about what's age-appropriate for children, parents need to be a part of that conversation.
Jacqueline Woodson is an author and mother of 2 whose books, including Red at the Bone, that talks about the Tulsa Race Massacre, have been challenged or banned in some states.
You're trying to keep them from understanding. You're trying to keep them from learning.
No, that's not what's happening. They're trying to keep their, little bit of innocence that they're right. I mean, they're already being corrupted through TikTok and social media and stuff. So no, they're not trying to keep them from learning. They're trying to keep creepy people, creepy weirdos from teaching them about sex. And I can't stress enough, this happened all so quickly, right? Like I went to school in the Bay Area where a lot of this stuff comes from. San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley. I mean, that's basically where half of this stuff is birthed, maybe Portland or Seattle or something like that. But it wasn't like this. There was no LGBTQ issues. This wasn't even an issue when I was in school. So this has all happened far too quick for my liking, and it's absolutely disgusting. And you notice also in this little segment, yeah, they talked about one of the lawmakers and one of the little conservative groups, but they didn't bring any parents that were against this, right? They only brought parents who say, you're breaking my constitutional right. Now, they didn't care anything about constitutional rights when they were forcing kids to get the jab and forcing kids to wear a mask at school. But now they care about constitutional rights when somebody else is saying that, hey, maybe we shouldn't be presenting children with this kind of explicit material. And then there's also clips going, you can find them anywhere on Twitter, on the internet or whatever, where there will be parents at a town hall meeting or a PTA meeting or some type of, little setting where people get to testify and tell their story or whatever it is, right? There's videos going viral where a parent, a dad or a mom will bring one of the books that's so explicit that the people running the meeting shut them down, and then they can't tell that shouldn't be in a classroom. You don't even want to hear it in your little town hall meeting, but for some reason you think a kid should hear it in 2nd grade. It doesn't make any sense. And so, yeah, they're going to claim, well, they're targeting LGBTQ content. All right, well, well, fine, maybe it should be targeted because they're not targeting regular traditional heterosexual content because it's not showing up in school for little kids. That's why it's not being targeted, because if it were, it would be called out immediately. We can talk about biology, we can talk about science and actual reproduction. Of course, that science of actually how babies are made, that's not real because we don't know what a man or a woman is. That's completely different. But these people are so despicable. The media is despicable. It's all disgusting how they are trying to corrupt kids and confuse them and turn them into little weirdos who are going to be eventually dependent on the government and eating pharmaceuticals because you convince them that they should change their gender. It's all absolutely disgusting. But thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.